or astronomy. To hear space considered as something effective, as something definitely there, so that you could say it has properties. Take another case of space which is rather startling. There are different kinds of space. Space is basically, isn't it, an interval. There is an interval between each one of us sitting here. If we didn't have that, we would suffocate by being packed together like sardines. We need space in order to function as a human being. We need a kind of area in which to gesture and move and walk about and breathe and express ourselves. Now, you can have intervals not only in space but in time. Pauses are intervals. You can also have intervals in sound, the intervals between tones or notes. The interesting thing about the intervals between tones is that they are that upon which the hearing of melody depends. Melody is here. To hear melody is to hear intervals. Now, if you will simply visualize melody in terms of something graphic, supposing you represent a simple, say, introduction of a fugue. You can see that in terms of a dancing line or a series of points at different levels representing, like musical notation, the high ones and the low ones. And you will recognize a pattern. But you see at once that the pattern depends on the way the critical dots in it are spaced. And it doesn't matter much whether the space is a big space or whether it's a little one, because it will always be relative to the size of the dots. You can magnify it or minify it, but you will see it is the way they are spaced that makes the difference. And here once again we are using spaced as a transitive verb now. We've talked about spaces or distances increasing, or people increasing a distance. Now we can talk about space as a verb. To space, to be spaced. And so once again the language is either playing tricks on us or else expressing a profound intuition. Language does both, and you have to watch out for which it is. But here at once you see, especially in that illustration of music, of it being necessary to hear intervals in order to hear melody, you see that the way things are spaced is really another way of talking about the way things are related. So you begin to realize that space is relational. Go further now. There is another idea about space which is connected with all the Oriental uses of space. It is quite fundamental to Indian and a great deal of Chinese thinking that space equals consciousness. In other words, what actually we are experiencing as the all-inclusive space in which things happen is your mind. And your mind, of course, is not something inside your head. That is a great mistake. to make. Your head is something in your mind. We can define a person's mind in many ways, but beginning with something rather simple, mind is occupied with thinking. Most people think in words, and you didn't get words out of your head. You got them from the community in which you live and were brought up. So when you think in a language which your community gave you, you are not really thinking your own thoughts. It is very difficult indeed to have private thoughts, because when the very materials with which you think are public property, it shows what a vast influence the public has on you in the deepest recesses of your mind. It's therefore very difficult also to think freely, independently, because we are pushed around with the symbolic systems of words or of numbers in which we think. But since you see the functioning of the mind in the process of thinking depends upon an outside community, you begin to see that your mind is a network of relationships. You think only in the context of an environment of people and of natural processes. So that you could say that your mind is at the very least a most complex network of present and past.
There. Maybe? Yeah, maybe it comes right on down. Right in there. About like that. We don't even know where it goes over there. I don't think we care at this point. Alright. Just want to create a little mist down here at the base. We can do that with a clean brush. Like so. And lift slightly upward. Sort of brings everything together. There. Of course, right underneath that, we need a reflection. We need a reflection. So just pull it straight down. Straight down. It's most important that it goes straight down. Reflection should be as dark as the object that's casting the reflection. There. So go across. Give us a little instant reflection. Now, maybe, I'll tell you what, maybe there's a tree that lives right here. We'll put some highlight on it so we'll show you. This one lives a little closer to us, so we can make out a little more detail with him. There. He's got a friend. Happy little tree lives right here and watches everything happen. Alright. Now, we'll go right into a little touch of the cadmium yellow, yellow ochre. So later I'll put all the yellows and a little bit of the red. I want to make a nice green color. Because you had blue and black on your brush, you go in here, you'll get green. That's it. Now that we come right in here, place us a few little highlights on this pattern. And it's not your background. Color. A few highlights on this little rascal. Maybe in our world here, maybe there's a few little grassy things that we're beginning to see. Don't want a lot of detail yet. Just a few little things. Sparklers. There they go. We don't know where they go over here. Don't know where they go. Take a little bit of our brown and white we used. We can put the indication of a little landmass here. Simple. Little bit of land. Touch a little bit white. Just an indication of a water. It's neat, huh? Gotta decide where this big tree lives. Here he comes. Here he comes. He comes around down. This is just dark color. Just a lot of dark color. Maybe Maybe it comes all the way down here. I don't know. That's the beauty of painting like this. You really don't have to know exactly where everything's at. It just works. Little paint thinner, liner brush, that brown color, here and there, and there and here. We just put the indication on. Little limb, little trunk lives in there. Don't have to worry about it very much. Let's take maybe some of that yellow, greens. Mix them on the 2-inch brush though. Let's go right in here and let's just begin picking out some lines. Just a few long leaves. You've got a very thick, dry paint. Put this right over here. It'll go right on the top of that makes it neat. Just be a little bit thinner. Canvas on it. Always pull toward the thickest area. Our yellows are going to be just a little bit thinner, so that works automatically. There. And down like that. Now I'm going to change the flavor a little bit. Add a little bright red, a little yellow ochre. Yeah, you're right. Right there. There's another little tree, bush, whatever you want to call it. Wherever. But we're still just using the corner of the brush. That's really all there is to it. And I'm going to dip the brush into a little touch of paint thinner. I'm going to make it just a little thinner. I'm going to go over several layers of paint here. There. If you add paint thinner, add the smallest amount possible. Clean off a little spot to work here. Even a palette this big, I still run out of room. We're going to take black and brown and mix them together. And then over here I'm going to take a little bit of white, black to make a gray color. There. Something about like that. Okay. I'm going to take and add paint thinner to this. I want to make this very thin. As we mentioned earlier, a thin paint will stick to a thick paint. So now, I'm going to show you an easy way of making a fantastic effect. We need to thin these colors. But if we hadn't started with a very thick, dry paint, this wouldn't work. So be sure you, I hate to keep talking about the paint, but it is important. I get so many letters from people that say they're having problems, and when I begin to talk to them, the problem usually evolves from starting with paint that's very thin. Start with thick paint, then each layer gets thinner. So let's use a little oval brush to get through the dark color. Both sides. Now one side only, I'll put in the light color. So the dark and light. Indication, little stones all over the back to a little brush that has the grassy put in a few little highlights. Just a few little doodles.
Heisenberg field and the Heisenberg field and the loss of primes. So let's think about this operation in the Heisenberg endothelial system. Here I have to state S1 in some way captain state, so this is something that doesn't have to in that direction. I have areas. I wait for some very large time. So, time 1 billion years. And of course, if I wait long enough, that red cap is exactly very, very far away. It's several galaxies over in that direction. Now I come by into this room, let me look in S2 or some function oriented stuff in this room. provides the room or someplace, and I have an operator which, if I apply it to the vacuum, would make a space that is essentially 1 billion light years over that way. Okay. Now, so of course, if there's radius interaction, I'm sorry, that's 2 is definitely concentrated more than 1 billion light years that way, not in 3. And I go there 1 billion light years that way, and I compare with this operator, which, if I did it with the vacuum, is located in the partial space with 64 So everyone is clear about that. That's the physics of what is going on. Now, question. What happens if I did it not, if I apply it not to the vacuum, but to the space that has that other particle over there, way beyond the Andromeda Nebula? Well, if there's any sense in the world whatsoever, the fact that the other particle is on the other side of the Andromeda Nebula should be completely irrelevant. I'd have to travel to the other side of the Andromeda Nebula to see it's there. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know, and the whole reason I know that I'll have that vacuum space. Okay, it's immediately clear. Particles are the particle I'm comparing to that is really there, that is secretly there, but I can hardly expect to tell it in any experiment I can do, is all the way over on the other side of the Andromeda Nebula, can't affect what I'm doing in this room, if there's any sense in the world, or what I'm doing 1 billion light years in the other direction. Therefore, I'm obviously making a state by this operation that is effectively a two-particle state, with the two particles in the far future moving away from each other, one going out this way and the other going out that way. Therefore, I assert that this limit should exist and should give the definition of a two-particle out state, a state that in the far future looks like two particles moving away from each other. That just comes, that's not a mathematical proof. If you want a mathematical proof, you have to read a long paper by Charles Hess. But it is a physical argument. The only thing I'm incorporating is that there is some sort of even the roughest idea of localization in this theory. Some sort of approximate localization, and if I've got a particle on the other side of the Andromeda Nebula, traveling away from the I'll never be able to determine that. Yeah, I know you have pretty sensitive particles that away from each other. So in fact, the analysis can be extended to further remember that it requires much more complicated reasoning and the results is not even on the rigorous level of capitalizing it. And the physics is true, if the momenta are so linear because the wave packets tend to spread out. And so the fact is that if I wait long enough, I have a negligible probability for the first particle being anywhere near the second particle, even though the substantive wave packets are moving in the same direction. So the first side is also useful for linear momentum. Yes, the limit is a little bit slower. Okay. They're not getting away from each other as fast due to spreading out as they would be getting away from each other if the center is the wave packet. Now, of course, if it were minus infinity, all the arguments would be exactly the same, time reversed. And instead of an out, I would have an in. Thus we have the prescription for computing, for constructing in space and out space that look like two-particle space in the far past, and space that look like two-particle space in the far future. Of course, I use two-particle space only for simplicity. After I go through all the avenues, I will go through for two into two scattering. If you wish, you can attempt to extend the arguments to 2 into 3 or 2 into 4 or 7 into 18. Because it's just space that are in out of space. Now we are now in a position to verify question 2, or question 2 as I told you when the answer was almost modified by replacing the fields that appeared in question 2 with the specified, which we normalize by specified one. Let me recall how I define things. This way they have a formula on the board. Integral d4x1, d4x4. I believe, due to foolishness, I had a plus sign here instead of a minus sign last lecture, although I gave away that part of my notes on last two. If I have changed it to a minus sign, it doesn't affect any of the equation. It just turns out to be the right thing to do. In fact, even with the plus sign, it didn't affect anything because the CP2 is the same function. We renormalize the function x1 to x4, and of course we renormalize the function
It's not up to us. It's not divinely ordained. We're here on chance, and we're going to go away, and the planet will heal. The planet will heal because that's what it does. It heals itself. It's a self-healing organism. It changes and grows. It'll incorporate all of our dead cities into itself, and it will become something else, but it will still be going around the sun for at least a few more billion years or whatever. So this whole thing, we have to save the planet by not putting diapers in the landfill. That's too short-sighted. It doesn't do anything. You have to change yourself, and we'll never do that because the dollars now, everybody wants a dollar and a toy. Everybody's got a cell phone that'll make pancakes and rub their balls, so nobody wants to rock the boat. Nobody wants to change. Don't change anything. And we're in a nice downward glide. I think we squandered great gifts. I think humans were given great gifts. Walking upright, binocular vision, opposable thumb, large brain, making tools. Big tools, large brain, make better tools. Talk, have to like language. You take this, put in here. We learned language, brain got bigger, language. We grew. We had great gifts, and we gave it all up for both money and God. God and mammon, both. We gave it up to the high priests. It's your job. It's God's will. That's what they say. People say it's God's will. That means God can do anything he wants, so why pray? They say you pray for something. Okay, he didn't answer my prayers. Well, it's God's will. Well, if it's God's will, why did I even pray in the first place? He's going to do what he wants anyway. We gave it all up to superstition, primitive shit. Invisible man in the sky looking down, keeping track of what we do, make sure we don't do the wrong thing. If we do, he puts us in hell and we burn forever. That kind of shit is very limiting. It's very limiting for this brain we have. So we keep ourselves limited, and then we want a toy and a gizmo and gold, and we want shiny things, and we want something to plug in that'll make big things for us. And all that shit is nothing. It's nothing. We gave it all up. And Americans, who also had great gifts, when you take the theory of democratic rule, self-government, okay, they started off wrong. They owned slaves. They didn't let women vote. They didn't let people who didn't own land vote. Fine. They got off on the wrong foot. But the ideas were good. Well, we fucking blew that. We polluted it. We polluted it with this stuff, things, material goods, games, gizmos, toys, gadgets, having possessions. He's got a bigger truck. He says, see his truck? It's bigger than mine. I'm getting a new truck. Here's a big truck. Oh, I'm getting that one. That's what you got, a video and a DVD too? He don't have a DVD. I got a DVD, Whatever happened? And all that, and that's why I'm divorced from it now. I see it from a distance. I give myself a divorce. I said, George, emotionally you have no stake in this. You don't care one way or another. So watch it. Have fun. You know what? I say it this way. When you're born in this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show. And when you're born in America, you're given a front row seat. And some of us get to sit there with today's